We've been monitoring the latest in Fort McMurray, Alberta. Portions of that area have been evacuated as a wildfire approaches the city. The blaze expanded overnight. It is now about 8 kilometers away from the hub of Canada's oil sands. At last check, the fire was not currently threatening any major energy operations. We'll continue to monitor that story. We are monitoring the stock market today, where we've seen shares of Boyd Group Services underperform. They're down about 7.5% after the operator of collision repair centers reported sales and profit that missed estimates. The company says mild weather was the impact, and that could continue to impact the business into the current quarter. Another stock that has been lagging today is SNC-Lavalin. The engineering company reported profit that missed expectations. Revenue also missed estimates, coming in lighter than what Bay Street was looking for. Shareholders are set to vote on changing the company's name to Atkins Realis at the annual meeting that is scheduled for tomorrow. Looking at the broader story of stocks today, we have seen a positive day in Toronto and New York, more so with the S&P, which got to an intraday all-time high as investors rejoiced after the latest inflation reading in the United States. The TSX under a little bit more pressure when you look at some of the subgroups, namely energy. Let's take a look at what's happening with the price of oil, which is actually coming back now after the earlier weakness. We're up 0.4% on the day. Gold at last check was higher. It's still up more than 1% on the session. The currency story today, quick look at what's happening with the Canadian dollar. It's at 73.54 US. And Bitcoin has been stronger today. The cryptocurrency is currently up close to 6%. And then we talk a lot about what's happening with the AI world. And this week, Google tried to put its best foot forward, showing developers at its annual gathering that they've got plenty of tools that will keep them competitive against the likes of OpenAI, which of course operates ChatGPT. Let's bring in Jim Anderson, CEO of Beacon Software, and one of our regular tech guests to talk a little bit more about the lessons learned from Google. It's interesting, Jim, if you were to go back, I would say a year and a half or 2 years ago, and you said, who's going to dominate AI? I think most people probably would point to a business like Google, and yet it just felt like they've been on the ropes. So were they able to win over those who were skeptical of where they are in the Gen AI story in yesterday's event?
Yeah, John, I think they made a ton of progress. Remember, it was only 2 months ago we were talking about how widely criticized they were for, their historically inaccurate fake people that they were generating, right? That giant controversy. So just a short 2 months later, they put an impressive show on. And it's funny, somebody counted the number 121 times they said AI in about 2 hours yesterday, which I think is indicative. They have put a tremendous amount of effort. And again, I'm not sure anybody seriously ever doubted Google's ability to make substantive moves, and they certainly did that yesterday.
Okay, what were some of the things that really stood out to you just as you were observing?
Yeah, 3 things really. One is what they've done with the phone, right? I've got an iPhone right here, but if this was a Pixel phone, the ability to do what they call multimodal search. It's a terrible name, multimodal, but the idea that you can turn your camera on, you can point it at something, you can say, what is it you're seeing? It can then respond to you verbally or give you text or tell you. They had some really powerful examples, and I think that just intuitively is what we've all wished search could be, at least since we've had mobile devices. So that's incredible, and I think you'll see a lot of usage of that coming along. Yeah, the second thing is the photo library. Most of us have 10, 20, 30,000 photos, and this general idea that somehow we'll go back and organize them, no, we won't. And so why should we have to organize our photos? Why can't AI do that? And so I think that's a really practical, very relatable example. And then the third one is more sort of an office productivity thing, basically taking their Google Sheets, Google Drive, Google Docs, and adding AI in, very similar to what Microsoft is doing with this Microsoft Office suite. So those are the 3 things that jumped out at me.
And for those who seemed worried, and I think Google, Alphabet is the parent company, they're the ones who officially report quarterly results. I think they put some of the near-term concerns to bed when they had their quarterly results, and search is doing just fine right now. I think heading into earnings season, a lot of people said, well, is all the efforts by the likes of, let's say, Meta, is that going to steal mind share and really sort of represent an evolution on search, and people got concerned over that. But I wonder if they, outside of what they are unveiling, they are going to do, is there still that worry that their traditional search business will be under a certain amount of threat?
Yeah, that's a great point, John. I think there is an undercurrent of negativity around search. And honestly, I'm not sure it's so much worried about Google, because Google's going to do just fine, right? Google's going to win in some way, shape, or form. And they have the ability to control, so much of your search experience that I think their earnings will be just fine. But what about the broader ecosystem, right? We think about things like a Google search. What Google is trying to do, and in many ways is very logical and the extension of what we as individual consumers might want. Don't make me go search for it. Why don't you do the search for me? Just give me the answer, right? We all just want the answer, not the search. Well, if you start to think about what the implications of that are to the open web and to all of these content creators and these businesses that rely on search for their business, for their funding, those kinds of things. So, I think it puts Google in an even more dominant position, perhaps opens up to more regulatory scrutiny, because if now Google doesn't just give you the ability to find the answers, they give you the answers. Their position is much more dominant.
So what are you going to watch most closely now that we have the latest from this company? Apple obviously is working on its AI ambition this year. Microsoft has that strong relationship with OpenAI. A lot of people talking about Apple's relationship with OpenAI. Where do we all net out? Are we just talking about some battling between the companies that ultimately are going to have the strongest hand in this whole story?
Yeah, I think the battle of the tech titans is exactly what you just said, between Microsoft and Google/Alphabet, Facebook/Meta. There's these giant companies, and they all like to say, hey, we have plenty of competition. And in some ways they do, but these are all, $1-2 trillion companies, and those tech titans are going to continue to duke it out. I think I definitely want to continue to look at the regulatory scrutiny, especially coming from the EU, but even in the US, I think there's a lot of conversation about how big is too big when you're $1-2-3 trillion in market cap. And I think inevitably, we've talked about this before, it may take years to get there, but wow, there's so much power concentrated in such a small number of companies, and they've got such a dominant influence already in our day-to-day lives, and all of this AI developments are just making that much more pronounced. If you're not a big tech player, you can certainly play in the AI world, but you're not going to be developing your own large language models, training on billions of parameters, sort of dominating the way that the companies we've just been talking about are dominating.
Real quickly before we let you go, I mean, at the end of the day, I think people are getting a little numb of all the AI is going to change your life commentary. And, you talked about how many times Google referenced AI. Bloomberg had a story this week about how the number of conference call references to AI is starting to cool off a little bit, maybe because companies know, it starts to lose a little of that early momentum. But you're in the thick of this stuff, too, with your business. And I think for investors, they're at a point where, okay, a lot of the AI companies had big stock lifts. Is all that baked in now? You're not a stock market analyst, but is the change so transformational that at this point we should keep talking about how it's going to change our lives in the biggest way ever, and you don't want to be betting against this in any way, especially if you're an investor?
Yeah, I think it is transformational. And this to me feels like the internet in 1997, right? After a while, you get tired of it. Oh, this internet thing is going to be big. I get it already. Can we move the conversation forward? And I do this all day, every day, and I get tired of it sometimes. So I can relate to people who feel a little bit fatigued by AI. And of course, everybody talks about AI this, AI that. Everything I do is in the context of AI, because that's what the market has wanted to hear. What we now need to do is get to the hard work of saying, how's AI going to help my business? We're in the transportation sector, so how is AI going to help me get out of traffic jams? How is it going to make cars and freight move more freely? How are these things? Talk to me about that. Don't talk to me about your hand-wavy AI or about NVIDIA chips. Talk to me about the practical business implications. And look at what happened with the internet, right? I mean, it spawned entire new companies and industries, and I think we're going to see the exact same thing in AI.